Official business, we need to call to order. And I guess a roll call. And who's going to do that for us since Robin's not available for us?
I'll do the roll call.
Yeah, if you
John.
Here.
Matt Montgomery. Not Dolly.
Present.
Micah.
Present.
Colin. Here. Kelly.
Here.
Stacy.
Here.
Tiffany.
Here.
Rolando. Hannah.
Here.
Jeremy.
Here.
Todd.
Here.
And then Jennifer and Michael, but I don't believe either one of them will be here today. And we do have a quorum, John, so you are good to go.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, we got a few action items and, just a few items to knock out and some informational stuff. So our first action item would be approval of the minutes from our previous meeting that happened on August the 2nd.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Dolly. And Micah, we're going to have to ask you to jump in.
I guess I'll second.
All right. Any conversations? We're good. I think that gets us approved, right? The motion passes. And then we got our financial report from August and September. We got Colin to tell us where we're looking, what we look like.
Okay. So we've got August and September in there, but I'll just start with August. You can see on the chart, we've got our fiscal year 23 in bright blue colors. And then what we're doing so far in 24 is in the orange. This month, we are at about 12%, or at the end of August, we were at about 12% expended on our total budget. That's compared with 19% in fiscal year 23. Our admin was at 17%, and that was less than the 21% we were at the same time last year. Our adult expenditures were at 11%, as compared with 33% in fiscal year 23. Dislocated worker was at 8% spend, as compared with 17% in the prior year. Youth was at 15, as compared with 19 in the prior year. And then at the end of August, we were at 8% expended on our work experience requirement that we're supposed to have. We're supposed to have 20% of our youth program funds spent on work experience. So we were at 8% at the end of August. Anyone has any questions about August? I will move on to September.
I think I sent all of it for that.
I'm good. I'm
Oh,
good.
you don't? Okay. September is a little bit more current, so that'll probably be more useful. So if you flip to September, you'll see we were at about 18% expended on our total budget for the year. We were 31% expended last year, and so you can see we've really got we've really throttled our spending for this year. Just kind of keeping a good status quo, level-headedness on our spending right now. We are at admin expenses are at 25%, compared with 28% at the same time last year. Our adult is at 15%, as compared with 54% at this time last year. Dislocated worker, we were at 14% expended, and that's compared to 30% in fiscal year 23. Youth was at 22%, and that's compared with a 30% total in fiscal year 23. And then at the end of close of business of September, we were at 11% on our work experience requirement. So we've got a very steady incline on our expenditures so far this year.
So September gets us to basically our first quarter. Is that the ideal? So
Yeah.
at our first quarter, we're basically 25% or less in spending, right, across the board.
That's right. We are on track to make the rest of the year without lacking funding.
Yeah.
And if you notice on that chart, I've got a forecast. That forecast is based on if we spend every dollar that we have budgeted, we're gonna get up to, we are, for 3 months straight, we've spent much less than the forecast. So, at some point, maybe we'll need to spend a little bit more, but right now, we're keeping a good, steady incline that's less than our expected.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking, tuition expenditure is probably going to kick again first of the year, right? And then we'll as far as tuition costs, that'll go away, kind of a spike and then back down through the June timeframe. So yeah,
And
Kinda get-
we're also,
go
we're
ahead,
also
Mike.
waiting for the second round of funding. So, with the workforce dollars, we get some in July, and then the second round will come in October. The state is a little bit delayed in getting those numbers out to us, but we should be getting those allocations any day. Like, we're just waiting to get them. So, and once we get those allocations, then we can really start looking at doing some work-based learning and getting back engaged with a lot of our community partners. We're just having to wait till that second round of money comes in.
Right.
It's the large allocation.
Because we've already received our youth and we've received the July portion of our dislocated worker and adult. We're just waiting on that remaining adult dislocated worker that comes. Supposed to come in October. I actually was at the, there was a training at the state last week and me and Tiff went there and got Rachel Adams over there to tell us a little bit more because everybody there had questions about where's our money, it's the end of October. And so they said that they've got a thing they're waiting on from the DOL that they have to get guidance on how to what's happening with the fact that unemployment is so low. And so they said that we won't get anything less than 90% of our prior year allocation. But they're waiting on guidance from them to figure out what they need to send out to everybody. They had not received their funds, but she said it might be sometime, even in December, but they're gonna let us know. So
Okay.
that was
And
kind of
when
a question everybody had because they said it was the first time in like 30 years that the unemployment rate was less than 6.5%, and that's one of the key figures they use in their allocations of these funding. So, and figuring out how to calculate it to send it to everybody, all the local areas, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So
we're assuming that sometime around December, these, that funding stream will hit.
yeah,
Money will hit. And then our graph will kind of skew a little bit to mimic the differences. Is that the thought?
yeah, we'll have to make some adjustments to go up or down on how they allocate it to us.
Micah, Dolly, you guys have any questions about that?
I make a motion to approve.
There you go. Micah.
I'll second.
All right, Colin, thank you. I think I'm very happy with what you've provided, and look forward to the changes as they come. But with that, I think that gets approved. All in favor? We're all saying aye. Yeah, right. Thank you so much. Our next action item, I got to scroll back up here, is our meeting dates for the 2024 timeframe. We scheduled as we have right now, and thank you, Micah and Dolly, for being flexible with your schedules to change for me. Because the reason why we're meeting today rather than the normal day is because I've got to get on a flight tomorrow and be in Dallas. Dolly didn't get to hear my complaint. I got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So, that being said, we had on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock quarterly, right? Are we still
Yeah.
fine with that time frame for you two as well? And we'll just throw Matt to the wolves and tell him that's what we chose without his input. So I don't have there we go. There's our executive committee schedule. Let me turn it around here. So 2024 looks like February 7th, May 1st, August 7th, November 6th. Is that right?
Yep, that's it.
Let me double check my other schedule just to make sure it was one of them. Have you guys checked your schedules?
Yep.
You're ahead of me. May 1st. May 1st, I'll be on a fishing trip. That's not a good day for me. May 1st is not.
Okay.
Let's see, August 7th and November 6th. Now, May 1st is the only problem I have because I will be at Reelfoot Lake, hopefully successfully catching some fish, but definitely drinking and boating.
Okay. So yeah, that may not even be a good time to zoom in.
Yeah. You know, at 10 o'clock, I can tell you I'll definitely be on the water as long as it's not a big storm happening.
What day are you back?
The following Wednesday is fine on the 8th, if that's okay with you guys.
I'm good
That
with
should be
that.
fine.
I'm good with the 8th.
All right.
If we can make the 8th, and if someone there can actually do an Outlook scheduler to send
Yes.
out to everyone, that would be just fantastic.
Yeah, once you all vote on it, Robin can send out the invites to everybody.
Yeah. With Robin not physically being there, you know, it's one of those things. Our fill-in person will have to take care of it, or Robin will take care of it later. So if we're all in agreement on February 7th, May the 8th, August the 7th, and November the 6th, if we're good with that, I'm good with that for me personally.
I make a motion to approve with said changes on May 8th.
Thank you, Micah.
I will second.
All right. And with that, all the three of us are in agreement, so that gets approved.
Will these be the same time?
At 10 o'clock, yes.
If that works for you all. Yeah.
Dolly, you good with 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're good to go. So informational items, that was what we was going to talk about, and hoping that Dolly can make it on this morning. So now the informational items. Mike, tell us what you got.
So the position for the workforce director was posted on Friday on Indeed. So far, as of this morning, we've had, I think 19 applications that have come in. Of those 19, about 3 have kind of made the cut. The other 15, 16 or so were individuals that had great backgrounds, but had no workforce experience in terms of WIOA. And that's one of the things that was in the job description is, you know, they have to have that Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, because the reality is this isn't a position where you can just come and learn it as you go. We need somebody who has a very thorough and in-depth understanding of the act, but also of the TEGLs and the regulations, but also somebody that has experience working with the Kentucky Career Centers or an American Job Center location. You know, because that's just something they've got to have on day one. That's really not something that they can't learn it as they go. So of those, what I've done so far is the ones that do not have that experience, I have gone ahead and done the rejection through Indeed. There's been about 3 that have applied, not through Indeed, but just through direct sending resumes. All three of those lacked the minimum experience, and qualifications, so I went ahead and sent them a courtesy email to let them know that we appreciated their application, however, they didn't really meet the minimum qualifications we were looking for. What I'll be doing is probably on Thursday or Friday of this week, I will send the, 4 other committee members the resumes that have kind of made it through so far, just so they can start reviewing those. Because what I would like to be able to do is when we get to the end of the period, so the application is set to run through November the 10th. At which time I will make sure that all of the 4, the 2 members from each board have a copy of the resumes, so that we can then go through those and narrow that down to about 3 or 4 that we'd like to interview, or whatever numbers the committee comes up with. That way we can go ahead and kind of swiftly move through that process. Because I believe that if there's several that are probably gonna, meet the qualifications, but, I think the committee has got a good idea of what they're looking for, and that way we can kind of narrow that down and do the interviews. I'd like to get that wrapped up by the last week of November so that we could, hopefully have a successful candidate we can make an offer, and that person can start ASAP in January, like really fast in January. Any questions about the process or anything so far?
When are you planning on having the interview days? You have that?
That will just, once we get all the resumes and we kind of see what the number that we're looking at, I will get with all of the committee just to find out what a good day for them is. And to find out if they want to do those in person or, via Zoom. I don't know, we may have out-of-state candidates. At this point, I don't really know, and I don't want to, be presumptive in that, but as soon as we close it, I'll get with the 2 members from the workforce board, which is Dolly and Connie, and then I'll get with Judge Williams and Judge Gritton and find out what their schedules look like so that we can schedule those interviews.
Yeah. But I mean, are we thinking December?
I'm hoping to do a little bit of a quicker turnaround. If we close it on November the 10th, I would like to probably try to schedule interviews the end of that next week, or maybe even the week after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I'd like to get them pretty quick if we can.
I was just thinking John and I could go ahead and look at it. Well, John won't be there, but let me look at my calendar just to make sure nothing. The only thing that may be an issue for me is Joint Commission's supposed to be here any day.
Woo! JACO is no fun.
No, and we have a Finance Committee meeting on the 17th at 10.
Okay.
So
Yeah, just as soon as we close on the 10th, I'll start. And actually, probably what I'll do is probably on the 8th or 9th, I'll get you all an email out so we can block off some dates. That way I can start alerting potential candidates.
the thing is you never know when they're going to show up, but I can tell you this, if they show up, they're usually here Tuesday through Thursday.
Gotcha. So Monday or Friday.
If that helps. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Because I've got it open right now for 2 hospitals, but.
Oh, wow. You're lucky.
Yeah. All right,
yeah,
great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Other WIOA updates, just a few other things to update everybody on. Todd was able to help spearhead some wonderful conversation with us with our state partners. Because as you know, we've reduced the number of direct service staff that we have. We've gone from 27 last year down to about 9 this year. So one of the key things that we don't have is we don't have the need for a lot of the office space that we currently have in some of the career centers. So I've spoken with Wayne Williams, and so what we're looking at doing is, for example, in Danville, we currently have multiple offices and some common space. And in Danville, we are reducing down to 1 office because we only have 1 staff person in Danville. And that's not likely going to change anytime soon. So what we're doing in Danville is restructuring that lease agreement to take us down to just 1 office versus I think we currently have 3. That's going to save us about $13,000 a year by reducing that office space of what we currently have. Also in Georgetown, that career center, we currently have a great deal of office space there with the training room and the resource room. We only have 1 staff in Georgetown. So we have talked with the state about reducing our footprint down to 1 space, as well as the training room, the resource room, those common areas. That's going to save us an additional probably about $12,000 to $13,000 in Georgetown. So by reducing our office space in those two areas, we're gonna be able to save about $25,000 a year, in leases. Because right now, we're paying about $25,000 a year in Georgetown, and we're spending about $18,000 a year in Danville. That's gonna reduce us down to about $5,000 in Danville and about $13,000 in Georgetown. Because it's just unused office space that's sitting there empty, and it's just, we're not really in a position where we need to be, we need to be conserving what we can. So I just wanted kind of to toss that out there as an update. Any questions about any of that?
Will we be able, should we ever need that space back? How, is it gonna be available or will it be gone or?
I believe in Georgetown, there's just a lot of transition going on there with other partners as well. I believe our OBR partners are possibly also reducing their office space in Georgetown, so, it's not inconceivable that the space in Georgetown may not even be available. I mean, if that continues to trend, which, we've also been looking at, we don't see a lot of foot traffic in Georgetown. So, there is the discussion about maybe looking at other areas where we do see a higher volume or some of the counties that are underserved. So for example, like Bourbon County, Nicholas County, Harrison County, maybe looking at maybe being able to create something in that area so that we can put a little bit more focus in the areas where we haven't been able to serve a lot of people historically. And that allows us maybe that flexibility to do so. Danville as well, foot traffic wise, I don't think we ever see double digits in Danville. So it's just really hard to justify having that much space when you see 3 people a month come through the doors. One of the things that I've discussed with Jennifer, the project manager for Douglas, I've talked with Todd about, the one-stop operator, is looking at that Danville location to where we would house our TTT staff, the recovery population. Because of Danville's proximity to Isaiah House, Shepherd's House, Revive Life, a lot of our major recovery partners are very close to Danville. So possibly utilizing that Danville office space to house kind of that transitional, that recovery case manager. And then they'll also be available for the people that do come through the Danville Career Center. We'll have a staff person there as well. Just trying to maximize our availability and also, be good stewards of the resources we have.
Thank you.
And I'll jump in real quick, Mike, if you don't mind. We actually met yesterday. We have a kind of a monthly staff meeting. We met here, and just a few updates, kind of so you all know. We were able to hire a new business services person to cover the area. Her name is Tamara Finch. So you may hear or see her name as it relates to working with business services. So far, she's hit the ground running. She's worked with Rolly some. She's worked with me some. So she's hit the ground running and is coming along nicely. So she's a great addition to the team. Starting next week, Allie Mullins is going to be coming back, and she's going to be working in Danville. I think she's going to be doing some of that T2T stuff that Mike just mentioned. So in addition to that, we talked with the staff about starting back in January, getting back out to the libraries and our access points. So between now and January, I'm going to be working with those library directors to identify dates and times. But we've got one staff person that does adults, youth, and dislocated workers in each office. Should be fairly easy to get them out of the office at least 2 days a month to cover those libraries and get back out there with our library partners. So I'm going to be working on getting that started back up in January, just so we're back out in those other communities. But that's kind of just a little brief overview of kind of what's going on and what the future holds as far as getting back out in the community now that we've got a lot of those key positions filled.
Yeah, that was kind of my thoughts, as we've kind of transitioned into a lot of electronic virtual conversations. As long as somebody can get an access point and get, services provided, and if they need to go to a brick and mortar building, I think Lexington, is centrally located. Having Georgetown and Lexington, I think, was kind of a double up, in my opinion.
There's been a lot of talk, John, in the past from the other state agency that's housed in that same building, the Health and Family Services building. They've frequently inquired about space. I guess they're kind of outgrowing that space. So, if Georgetown was to lose any space, I think it would potentially be to the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for us. I mean, we frequently get referrals from that agency anyway. So, you know, if Georgetown continues, I would potentially look for maybe some of that space to go to Health and Family Services, which already connects to that office. They would just open up one of the locked doorways and they would occupy some of that space. So, I mean, I could see us losing some space to that. As far as, you know, if we were to lose any more space in Georgetown.
Okay. Anybody got questions about that? Mike, you got anything to add to the conversations?
I think other than that, we're just trying to continue to do what we're doing. We're still going out and doing the VR events. You know, we're still working on the BGWIB project there in Madison County. We're working on getting the National Dislocated Worker Grant submitted that we've been working on. The rollout for that has been a little bit slower and not the volume that we expected. So that's been a good thing. But we're still every Friday providing services there at the Richmond Career Center to any individuals that come in for resume assistance or labor market information, anything like that. You know, it's going good in Lexington having that back up and open, and you know, we'll be looking to get that one-stop certification back in Lexington as soon as possible. So yeah, we're going good. We're saving money. We're really, as you saw with the financial report, we're on track to come in under budget, which is what we wanted, so that next year, July 1st, we're not trying to cut coupons and you know, do what we can, but we'll be able to just hit the ground running like we always have. Because the staff's doing a great job this year about being diligent, about being good stewards, and slow walking us back into this process so that we don't get in the shape we were in. So we're doing great.
Well, I would like to add a request because of the Frankfurt exposure meeting that's Mike, you and Tiffany, you told me that you're going to meet with, so that Dolly and Micah can hear this conversation. That's been something that the KWIB has asked the chairs of all the different workforce boards to come together and have like a round table conversation. We've been doing that almost a year, quarterly, having meetings, and this is a face-to-face in-person on Thursday that I can't be at. That all executive board members and actually any board members is welcome, but the director and Mike being the acting director and the board staff, whoever I kind of wanted to go, with the executives of course, to go that meeting. But the initiatives has been basically just kind of talking about best practices and pros and cons of whatever in the different regions. One of the things that I've been trying to push with any of those conversations is to get that line in the sand removed, so that the services that Bluegrass offers is similar to the same services that TNCO, EKSEP, or the whatever regions, Northern Kentucky, they all have something similar, and they get rid of all these. We're going to take care of our people who live in our region, even though they work in a different region. I want to get rid of that boundary, because that just drives me crazy, especially with my work. And Mike is where he's at. He's got people from different workforce boards, that regions, that work in his, and so does Dolly too. We don't have just populated people in our employee that just live and work in that area. Mike and Tiffany, if you guys will just kind of keep pushing that with that meeting, let's quit trying to take care of our own. Let's take care of all of us.
And we've had that conversation, and I know I've been very vocal with Deputy Secretary and with the Secretary even, that if somebody comes in one of our career center locations, we're not going to ask them where you live, and we can't serve you if you don't live in these counties. The intention of the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, as it rolls down to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, is to serve all the residents of the Commonwealth. Now, this whole geographical districting and territory was kind of an agreement a long time ago with the directors. And it's really archaic, and it really prevents us from serving people. And I've you know, I've had conversations with other directors, just as an example. You know, we get a lot of folks from Isaiah House in Washington County. The Isaiah House main headquarters are 4 miles across the Washington County, Mercer County line. So those guys are 4 miles away. We're going to serve them because they're going to come to work for employers in the Bluegrass region. Now, if we have to go 4 miles over the county line to serve somebody to get them to help our employers in our region, we're going to go 4 miles over that line. Same thing with somebody from Mount Sterling that's looking for employment opportunities in Clark County and our counties. We're going to work with that person. WIOA law does not prohibit us from doing that. It's just some people that refuse to get out of the old way of doing things and look at doing comprehensive services versus protecting their own, and that's not what we're about. So no, John, we absolutely are on board with what you're saying, and we're going to continue to serve anybody however we can.
Well, see that's you're doing exactly what I want. We're doing us as a team. We're doing that. I want the other ones to do that because that's what drives me crazy.
And some of the new directors have that same mentality. Some of the new directors are like, look, why in the world do we have to cut off where we serve somebody just because there's a county line sign that separates you? They're like, look, if we can help somebody, let's help them. It doesn't matter where they're from, let's help them. And a lot of your newer directors are, there's been a groundswell for that. And I think that's something you're going to see over the next 6 to 9 months, year, that you're going to see that dissolve. You're going to see people more just embrace the fact that, look, if you've got somebody that you can put to work, put them to work. If you can help them overcome their barriers, help them overcome them. It doesn't matter if they live in Montgomery County, Clark County, or what, you help them. Because that's what we're all here for. We need to get out of our silos.
Right. And that's, my experience, and that just drove me crazy because I had people who live in Tenco told by the career centers back in the day, no, you don't want to go to work for Amtech because we want to take care of you. You need to go to Maysville Tech. I've had people in Round County, same, and people in other counties. No, we don't want to take care of you to go to that. You need to go what we're dealing with. That employer is not in our area, that type of thing. So that's just my thing.
There is nothing in WIOA law that says that. That is just something that a group of people made up on their own and decided to enforce, but there's nothing in the law or the state regs or anything that says that we have to do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know Bluegrass is doing that. I just want everybody else to do that. So push that for me if you would. And
yes, sir.
Dolly, Micah, you guys got anything to add?
I'm good.
All right. Well, if anybody else got something to add? Then with that, we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
One motion.
Thank you, Micah. Dolly?
I'll second.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank everybody and happy Halloween.